Hi, good afternoon. Today, 14th of September 2023. I'm Thomas Sim, E3009. I am delivering a topic on the difficulties that you face when you are using WordPress in doing website publishing. I have gone through this process since 2018, and I am actually doing a new website now with the intention to do it properly using the correct plugins and pay for the plugins. So let me share with you today on the issues that I faced over the years, and also in particular in today's recording, the issues of using certain plugins. Let me begin. Hi, welcome to my channel, Video Taking 167. I will give you a more dramatic way of explaining this part of the feeling of difficulty in building a website. This is one hypothesis I want to get you to think. A young child who just lost his mother. So a young child, maybe a 2 to 3 year old child who doesn't know much of things, and all his life he has been with his mother, and now suddenly the mother actually passed on due to accident or due to illness. So in this type of dramatic scenario, that means the child suddenly has lost his direction. He doesn't know who to trust. He doesn't know who to actually give him the direction. And a lot of this scenario is seen in website building as you are actually seeing this scenario as making assumptions. People will say that to this child who has lost his mother, well, your mother will come back because most people would not want to sadden the tragic scenario. People will say that, oh, don't cry, your mother will come back if you behave this. Your mother will come back because you are good. You just carry on with your life, and therefore you will one day your mother will come back. Now this is very much a storyline in the drama, in the Chinese drama or the Korean drama. To the child, actually he has no clue. If from his 1 to 2 years experience with his mother, nobody actually was close to him to tell him what to do, apart from his trust and confidence in his mother leading the way. Now the mother is missing. So even if the person lies to him that if you behave well, you are good boy, then your mother will come back. In fact, he would think that it is something which will happen, something that is true. It's about what you do and your effort, and then therefore you will get a reward. So in this sense, in fact, a child who is innocent and ignorant in that sense would have no background information of why mother went missing, and therefore if he behaved well, the mother will come back, because that is something which he thinks is the correct thing to do. Because if I do well, my mother would praise me, my mother would say that I am a good boy. So now in the case the mother is not around, I just continue doing good and being a good boy, then my mother one day will come back. But this is entirely not true, right? If you really go back and think about the scenario of building a website, and now you really don't have any direction, and you only think that you assume that you do certain thing well, then the reward will be there, the website will be well built. So this is something which in a scenario of building a website, a lot of us would have this invisible expectation that if we were to do good, to always do something good, then the website would eventually have materialize over time. And this part is actually, to me, a lot of trial and error in the unknowns and uncertainty and the lack of the experience. You will try all kinds of ways. You try stupid ways, you try smart ways, you try with the blind ways. You simply just do. And sometimes it will take time off just to shut down the computer and just go and do something else, because beating around the bushes, you just cannot get through, and a lot of time you may not know what is actually the mistake that you have made, because you yourself cannot tell the mistake. Only the other third party will see your mistake. So this is an issue when you are a self-developer. When you are on developing, you don't have a team of people to develop together with you, then you don't see your own mistake. A lot of scenario like that, you probably have to stop and therefore go and do something else, and later on maybe come back again and try again on the same but a bit different approach to the problem. So in this case also, we talk about the cost that is involved, cost issue, especially buying plugins. All these pro and the premium plugins, you got to pay for it, and I have actually avoided paying for it for many years. Since 2018, 4 years ago, I kept on the belief that I would use lower level of plugin and avoid paying all these expensive plugins to achieve the level of application that I want. And if you think about it, it's also a reasonable solution, especially when the platform is not making money, when there is no revenue generation, monetizing strategy that is obvious and promising at that level of business venture. If you think about it, how a platform need to grow, and then you need to monetize it, and therefore you need to think of the way that certainly it becomes a business strategy, and the part whether it monetize or not over time, you have to put it to market to test. And definitely for early days of the development, you definitely do not have the monetary return as your platform is not mature. So in that scenario, you would tend to try and avoid paying for all these expensive plugins. So only recently, I have been thinking, should I, start investing, because the other platforms has make some small money, and therefore this little money that I have made, I would want to invest in the proper way of getting all these platforms running by approved license plugins. So you can see only 4 plugins, and even the one that is on the 5th of September is actually a monthly fee, whereas the others on the top, on the 9th, 10th, and the 11th of September, these are all yearly fees. For one single subscription for one single website, is already costing me 757 ringgit investment. So of course, if you use more plugins and more premium pro plugins, you're going to pay through your nose. It's expensive, in fact, to run a website for a purpose of completing a certain job. And therefore, these are considerations that you have to think about when you start doing your platform or your website. Try to avoid in the initial stage, because you do not have the money, but then when you are more certain of the direction that you want to embark on, then paying for the rightful plugin is an avoidable direction. One thing that I want to share is that my experience over this is that when you do plugins in the early days, when I avoid using all these pro plugins, a lot of jobs, although could be done, but it's more complicated, and a lot of time this would be opening a situation for the future scalability of your website, because if one of the plugins does not comply, then the rest cannot comply as well, because the plugin works together. So my discoveries of this is that using shortcuts make you learn smarter. That means you would learn better when you try to maneuver by saving costs. Then you actually get to learn all the tricks. But then all these cracks and now plugins that you would use to overcome the cost issue initially would actually inhibit your future use of the paid plugins, especially when let's say you need to update the plugins over time. You need to so-called update to have the feature that somehow needs to use a paid plugin. Then the remaining or the remaining cracked plugins cannot load in your website. So therefore, preferably you have to think of a way to circumvent this issue. So for that, I must say, initially my strategy would be to try and work around the cost factor by using some of the smart ways to avoid paying for the plugins. But then when you are certain of your direction and your future endeavor to really open up this platform that you are building, then may as well pay for the plugins, because paying for the plugins means that you can keep on upgrading or updating, scaling up your website and your platforms without worry of the future problem of one plugin having not complied, and therefore the rest of the website cannot load. So this is learning for me, and I like to share with you. So the most important takeaway that you have to remember is that when developing an own website, it is a long journey. Its reward may not be equal to your input or your effort that you put in, or even sometimes the reward may not realize. So far, I been through many times beating around the bush and really cannot get things done. So this is a journey that you have to be prepared. In the unknown, you need to go back and test again what you have designed, and sometimes what you have designed may not be meeting the market, and also the design may not be viewed as something of value to your final customer. So all this you need to go back to go around the same issue over and over, so that you actually build a better platform. So at the end, it is a test of your commitment and your endurance over the period of time. So indeed, building platform and building website for me is really a long-term journey. So one thing is that want to highlight in this video taking is when the case of a mother died and the path is aimless, no direction. What is the path that the person would to take, the child would to take? This is a scenario. Actually, you think about it in your journey of building a website. It's like you build something and something fell out because one of the plugins or one of the application that you have used needs to be updated or upgraded. And then when it is done, upgrading it or updated it, it somehow doesn't compatible to other plugins that you use. The whole system is screwed. So in this case, it's like your mother who leads you has suddenly disappeared, and now you are left helpless. And what is the next to do? What is the next things to do? You are really in the unknown, and therefore beating around the bushes and trying to knock off the problem. So building website, building platform is about unknown, especially you are doing it on your own. If you have a school or a guidance provided by a senior, then it will be better. If you have a group of people to work with you, then it's self-help as well as helping by your team of core workers. So you really need to think that you are creating value, which you need to test it, because the value that you not tested is not going to satisfy your end customer. So at the end, it's still about market acceptance, and part of the market acceptance is market testing. You need to go down to the market to test it. Cost advantage is that during the time early days of the innovative idea, then you try to avoid the cost, but then at the end you need to invest. You need to invest, especially when you really want to materialize your website or platform. At the end, you are an investor and also an inventor. By right, you are an inventor because you want to build something of value for the use of your end customer. So inventor usually will face failure 99% of the time. So take failure as the mother of success. So what to do next? Well, you have to start digging on what you want to do. And as you come to my video on this website building, I'm sure that you have in mind doing your own website or platform. then to do more reading, research, and going to the ground, do it on your own. And then you would find, well, like I said, well, sometimes you are just lost in the jungle, and at times take a rest, sleep through, and maybe tomorrow is a brighter day. Thank you very much. These are my platforms. I have contract2you.com as an index calculator. I have findhui.info as for linking of advertisement together in a geo-link scenario for a advertising website. I have done online self-study as a resource center for estate agent exam, as well as my collection of videos inside My Real Property Online. Thank you very much. I am Thomas Sim E3009. This is my mobile number. I have my website URL here. Thank you for coming to my channel.